Today on Inquirer, President Marcos to order voluntary face mask use while indoors, according to Tourism Secretary Cristina Frasco. PNP chief bears receiving information that may lead to the mastermind in the Percy Lapid slay. Vice President and Education Secretary Sara Duterte denies DepEd's rebranding of martial law as new society. And a week before Undas, DTI reminds traders about the prevailing suggested retail prices for candles. Good evening. For our top story, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. will issue an executive order making the wearing of face masks indoors voluntary, according to Tourism Secretary Cristina Frasco. To tell us more, here's Zacarian Sarao reporting live. Zach?
Yes, Neil. In a palace briefing earlier today, Tourism Secretary Cristina Frasco revealed that President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is set to issue an executive order making the wearing of face masks indoors voluntary, just barely a month after announcing the voluntary use of face masks outdoors. Frasco, however, clarified that face mask use will remain required in public transportation, and medical facilities. According to the Tourism Secretary, the decision was made during today's cabinet meeting, giving assurance that it was quote-unquote extensively discussed during the meeting of IATF with other cabinet members last week. Face masks will also be highly encouraged for unvaccinated individuals, persons with comorbidities, and senior citizens. This move came despite the detection and recorded local transmission of the highly immune evasive XBB Omicron subvariant and XBC variant of COVID-19. The XBB Omicron subvariant is pointed at as the main cause of the recent surge in Singapore, while the latter variant, XBC, which is a combination of the BA.2 sublineage of the Omicron and Delta variants, has been classified by the United Kingdom Health Security Agency as a variant under monitoring and investigation. Frasco, however, pointed out that the XBB Omicron subvariant and the XBC variant are not the very first variants of the pandemic, and that the Department of Health has been very aggressive in vaccination campaigns. Meanwhile, the DOH in a later statement said that it would await the official guidance issued by Malacanang. The agency explained that it has already, quote, illustrated all potential scenarios to the IATF during discussions concerning masking mandates, end quote. But it also clarified that the IATF is a collegial body that takes into consideration the concerns of all sectors. The agency did not explicitly say whether it was for or against the said mandate, but it reminded the public that more layers of protection means more protection against COVID-19. It also stressed the importance of assessing one's individual risk when removing their masks, especially amid Undas and the Christmas holidays approaching. The DOH said that it expects increase in COVID-19 transmission during this time due to higher mobility. Back to you, Neil.
Zach, so based on your report, it's not yet clear whether or not DOH is for or against this new policy. So do we have any information about the points raised during the IATF meeting that led to this decision to make the face mask mandate optional indoors?
Well, as of now, Neil, apart from what was announced by Frasco during the palace briefing earlier today, no other details have been made available to the public regarding the discussion. It is also not yet clear who the DOH representative was during the cabinet meeting and why it was Frasco who announced the said change in policy instead of the health department.
Zach, when will this new face mask policy be effective?
Likewise, no details has been released on when the face mask policy will be effective.
I want to talk about Singapore, Zach, because Singapore is one of the countries that experienced a spike in cases due to the XBB subvariant. What can we take from their experience, at least, that we can use here, at least in terms of the face mask policy?
Well, first, Singapore's part, while it is currently facing a surge in COVID-19 cases due to the XBB subvariant, it has actually yet to re-implement the mandatory use of face masks. But health ministers in Singapore said that it had not yet ruled out reimposing it depending if the situation gets worse.
Okay, Zach, so we'll wait for further developments on this story. Thank you. That's Zacarian Sarao reporting live. Philippine National Police Chief General Rodolfo Azurin Jr. reveals receiving information that may lead to the mastermind behind the fatal ambush of radio man and vlogger Percy Lapid. Beatriz Pinlac fills us in with more details. Bay?
Neil, in a television interview, Azurin was asked about the information shared by Jose Villamor, a supposed relative of Cristito Palanya, who was secured by police after reports surfaced that Palanya, the alleged middleman in Lapid's assassination, was already dead. Azurin said there have been revelations made to them, but at this time, he said they are not at liberty to share what those are until they've gathered definite pieces of evidence. While Azurin opted to keep further details under wraps in order to protect the PNP's ongoing investigation, he confirmed that there is information leading to whoever is the suspected mastermind. Azurin guaranteed that the PNP would also coordinate with the National Bureau of Investigations to secure information from Palanya's sister, alias Marisa, and to recall Neil, Marisa had sought help for other Senator Rafi Tulfo and Social Welfare Secretary Ernie, claiming that her brother had apparently revealed to her the people behind the killing of Lapid. Earlier, we spoke to DSWD Undersecretary Jericho Javier, and he confirmed to us that Palanya's sister had turned to them for help carrying a request for security after she and her other siblings started fearing for their lives since receiving text messages from random numbers. Javier said Marisa also asked that her brother's remains be returned to their family. According to the DSWD official, Marisa was immediately turned over to the Department of Justice, where Justice Secretary Jesus Crispin Remulla assured her that her requests would be attended to. Back to you, Neil.
So just a quick briefer on this story, Bay. So Marisa is the sister of Cristito Palanya, right? The alleged middleman who was killed inside the New Bilibid prison, right?
Right.
So
Yes,
Palanya's
and,
sister is now... go ahead, Bay.
Yes, Palanya's sister is currently under the custody of the Department of Justice after she was turned over to, again, the Department of Justice from DSWD.
So Marisa is holding huge information right now that might help with this case. So the question now is, what's the next course of action for the Department of Justice with regards to this case? Because I was able to read a report earlier today stating that a second autopsy will be conducted on Palanya.
That's right, Neil. Actually, the body of Palanya has been turned over to leading forensic pathologist Raquel Fortun because the second autopsy will be conducted in the UP Manila College of Medicine. And another thing that the DOJ is currently working on is putting Marisa under the government's witness protection program because, as I mentioned earlier, Neil, Marisa and her other sibling have been receiving suspicious messages from random numbers, which caused them to really fear for their lives.
Okay, thanks, Bay. That's Beatriz Pinlac reporting live. Suspended Bureau of Corrections Director General Gerald Bantag said he is willing to undergo lifestyle check in the wake of allegations of corruption. Bantag also revealed that he had allegedly already offered to resign long before he was linked to Percy Lapid's murder, but Justice Secretary Jesus Crispin Remulla allegedly denied it. To tell us more, here's Jean Mangaluz reporting live. Jean?
Thank you, Neil. Suspended UCOR Director General Gerald Bantag said in a radio show that he is willing to do a lifestyle check following corruption allegations after the killing of veteran broadcaster Percival Mabasa, better known as Percy Lapid. Bantag was suspected of living beyond his means when he was said to have a lot of cars. He explained that these were government-owned vehicles. Representative Franz Castro of the Alliance of Concerned Teachers Party List has previously called on UCOR officials to do a lifestyle check following reports of corruption in the New Bilibid prison. Currently under preventive suspension, Bantag was identified as one of the 160 persons of interest in Lapid's death. Bantag was the subject of multiple scathing reports from Lapid. At one point, Lapid even took a swipe at Bantag following the deaths inside New Bilibid prison. The slain broadcaster even said in a previous report that if Bantag was appointed to a position, people tend to die off. Bantag had previously offered to tender his courtesy resignation even before being linked to the Lapid killing. However, Remulla declined the resignation, telling him to stay in his position. That's it from me, Neil. Back to you.
Gene, we have a story on this yesterday and about the Mabasa family supposedly having plans to file charges against Bantag. So has he made any comments about this?
Unfortunately, there's been no clear response yet from Bantag regarding these charges that the Mabasa family will file, as he has been very silent amid these controversies.
Okay. That's Gene Mangaluz reporting live. Vice President and Education Secretary Sara Duterte shut down allegations that the Department of Education is rebranding the country's dark period under martial law as the New Society. In a statement, Duterte explained that as the DepEd Secretary, it is not within her mandate to ruin the country's history. She also asserted that the rebranding is not true. According to Duterte, the DepEd has no time to revise history as it is prioritizing programs to improve the quality of education in the country. Duterte's statement came after critics questioned DepEd's teaching materials in the southern Tagalog region where martial law was rebranded as the period of a new society. The DepEd Secretary emphasized that the terms used in the materials such as New Society or Bagong Lipunan were historical facts referring to programs during Marcos Sr.'s administration under martial law and were already in textbooks since 2000. Duterte further warned the public to be careful of efforts that use DepEd to trigger anger against martial law. About a week before Undas, the Department of Trade and Industry reminded traders about the prevailing suggested retail prices for candles. The DTI currently lists more than 30 product lines for candles in its SRP list, which it periodically issues to make price adjustments for basic necessities and prime commodities. As per DTI's latest SRP list issued in August, the cheapest among the different kinds of candles is the 4-piece pack of export candles white, which is priced at 29 pesos and 75 centavos. A 2-piece pack of Liwanag Esperma candle, on the other hand, sells for 177 pesos and 71 centavos. The DTI, however, will not issue an SRP for flowers because it is considered basic necessities and prime commodities. Taylor Swift released another music video, this time for her new song, Bejeweled, from her new album, Midnights. In the video, the singer-songwriter gave a twist to the classic Cinderella story. Swift plays the character of a seemingly damsel in distress but then breaks the happily ever after narrative without a prince. Swift also dropped Easter eggs for fans speculating Speak Now to be her next re-recorded album for release. If confirmed, Speak Now will be the third from her re-releases following albums Fearless and Red. And these are the stories you need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good evening.